The country is staring at a constitutional crisis over the conduct of delimitation of constituencies and ward boundaries that has already lapsed. Chief Justice Martha Koome and the Supreme Court bench is scheduled to issue an advisory on Monday that was sought by the IEBC. Constitutional expert Mohamed Abdikadir says IEBC has no option other than to conduct the boundaries review that could see 27 constituencies scrapped before the 2027 general election. Stephen Little delves into those deep waters.
All eyes are on the Supreme Court on Monday, as the 7-judge bench will be making a landmark determination on whether the country will have new constituencies in 2027 election or not. The electoral body that has been running without commissioners says it has had its hands tied, drawing the country into a constitutional crisis. The IEBC is before the Apex Court and wants directions, as it was supposed to have concluded the boundaries review on 6th March last year, as stipulated by the Constitution. The electoral body wants the Martha Koome-led bench to advise whether IEBC can undertake the process of delimitation of electoral boundaries and other electoral processes in the absence of commissioners. In its application to the Supreme Court, IEBC seeks guidance on whether the Commission can conduct a review of the names and boundaries of constituencies and wards when timelines envisaged under Article 89(2) and 89(3) as read with Section 26 of the County Governments Act have lapsed. In addition, IEBC wants to know whether the constitutional timelines envisaged under the provisions of Article 89(2) and 89(3 as read with Section 26 of the County Governments Act can be extended, and if so, by who and under what circumstances.
Until now,
Constitutional lawyer Mohamed Abdikadir says the process of boundaries review is a constitutional requirement that the Commission cannot run away from.
So, for example, if we stayed without commissioners until the elections, are you saying then that you cannot hold an election? I think whoever is there must be able to act and continue. That's what good order is about, because these institutions have what's called perpetual succession. The
advisory sought at the Supreme Court, experts say, should unlock the timeline's impasse and not defer the limitation process.
We are time-barred as far, not time-barred, but we're outside the timelines. We're outside the constitutional timelines. Can time be expanded so that we undertake this? And number two, since there was no commission in place, can the Secretariat be allowed to start that process? My views are a little bit radical on these things. My personal view is that the commission is not just the commissioners. So my own view is that if there are important constitutional functions, number one, we must not allow for there not to be an IEBC. There is absolutely zero reason why we cannot have an IEBC.
Cabinet Secretary Eden Duale affirmed that the country is in a constitutional dilemma and wants Parliament to also seek an advisory on what role it can play to avert the crisis.
So until and unless the Parliament, in its wisdom, will ask the Supreme Court to give an opinion whether we'll get new constituencies or not, it is the Supreme Court of Kenya that will decide. Sisi kama watu wa Garissa, watu wa Northeastern, bado tunataka Ijara to be divided, to have two constituencies, Habaswein and Wajir South to be divided, to have two constituencies, and many other places in Kenya.
In the 2012 boundaries review, the population quota was placed at 72,000 people per constituency, and the review to be conducted has set a population quota at 164,000. 27 constituencies have not met the target and may be scrapped ahead of the 2027 polls.
But we said a constituency should have as close as possible. So we give that as the mean, the quota. And the last time, the requirement was that the population quota was 72,000 people per constituency. And how do you get the quota? You have 290 constituencies. You have a population of 50 million. You divide. 50 million divided by 290 constituencies. Whatever you get, that is the quota.
Constituencies that are in densely populated urban setups are allowed to go up to 140% of the population target, while rural and far-flung constituencies are allowed to be below by 40%.
If 100,000 is the mean, then you can go up to 140,000 for Nairobi. And for North Hor is one constituency. It is bigger than some of the old provinces. You can go 40% below. So the mean is X, you can go 40% above for urban centers, highly populated, and 40% below.
Highly populated constituencies will be split, while those that fail to meet the population quota will be scrapped or merged. Stephen Letos, Citizen TV.